2023 offensive line for University of Tennessee Volunteers. We have two anchors that I think are vitally important. And we were very fortunate in that they avoided serious injury last year. And we need to really hope that they avoid it again this year, big time. Even more importantly, this year, in my opinion. And that is Cade Mays and Javonte Spraggins. They are the anchors, the rocks of this offensive line. And one interesting thing, it's interesting when you think about how the transfer portal has impacted Tennessee. You could very easily make a case that second only to quarterback, because we've seen what happened with quarterback the last 2 years. It's two transfers who have been, playing, and now this year it's going to be a transfer, Joe Milton. So obviously, the transfer portal has helped Tennessee in the quarterback room. It'll be you can make the case that offensive line is the second most benefited position from the transfer portal on Tennessee's roster. Last year, they had Jeremiah Crawford and Gerald Mincy transfer in. Both immediately started at left tackle. When one of them wasn't in, the other one was in at left tackle. Jeremiah Crawford was the guy who had the famous puking scene against Alabama and then looked up at him and nodded at him like, yeah, I just did that. And then he went up and blocked the guy, that he's that guy that did that. This year, we had a couple of very important departures from the offensive line, Jerome Carvin and Darnell Wright. Well, this year we have two more transfers coming in, Andre Carrick from Texas and John Campbell Jr. from Miami. Hopefully they can step right in and fill and plug two holes. That'd be ideal. But it does make you wonder if one of the two, either Mincy or Crawford, will end up on the right tackle spot, or if Carrick is going to come in and be that spot. I don't know. Time will tell. We'll see here over the next 2 weeks, really, where they're thinking about putting people. But there is one guy on campus, and then I'll let Rustin tell me his thoughts. There's one guy on campus that was extremely highly rated coming out of high school. He's a true freshman, so he's an early enrollee. His name is Sham Umarov, and he was a very highly rated offensive lineman coming out of high school. We'll see what he can do because you got Addison Nichols right there, as you got Ollie Lane right there. It'll be interesting to see the five that take the field against Virginia in the first game.
So I think we're going to see Gerald Mincy at left tackle. I think we're going to see Jeremiah Crawford move over to right tackle. I think Cooper Mays obviously is locked in at center. Javonte Spraggins is locked in at guard. And I think that other guard job is going to be fought out between John Campbell and Andre Carrick. The nice thing about Carrick, he is long, so he can actually learn all of the offensive line positions other than center. So if they get in a bind, he can probably play multiple spots. And I think that's one of the things they like about him. John Campbell's a little more limited. He's probably just a guard. His feet and his length aren't quite what Andre Carrick's are. So I think he's probably just a guard. I say just a guard. Guard's important in this offense. But he is huge. And I think the thing that stands out to me, and I was really excited to get to the trenches and talk offensive and defensive line, because when you look at our offensive line depth, we have the five guys we just mentioned, or the six guys really we just mentioned.
And I forgot to mention Dane Davis too.
Yeah. You've got Jackson Lampley, Parker Ball, Dane Davis, and Ollie Lane, who all got significant playing time this past year. So right there, you've got a 10 deep. Okay. What was really interesting, though, was coming out of the scrimmage today, Josh Heupel made a point to mention Addison Nichols and Vyzen Lang. Vyzen Lang is the true freshman, huge kid. And what was even more amazing to me was he said they were fighting for the backup center spot. Vyzen Lang is 6'4", 340.
I was about to say, in that kid, he's 340 pounds. Yep, that's him.
Okay.
That's a big dude.
That's a huge center. Let me put that in perspective for you. Cooper Mays is 6'3", 305. Vyzen Lang is 35 pounds heavier. Okay. to play center in this offense, you've got to have excellent feet. You got to be able to move. So for that dude to be 340 and they're thinking he's a center, his feet have to just be incredible. But when you look at the depth chart, and you mentioned Sham Umarov, so I was fortunate. I got to see Sham play quite a bit in high school, and we hosted several showcase clinics for Under Armour and Nike and different groups like that on our campus. And Sham used to come work out for those. So Sham is similar to Deshaun Bishop in that when you show up, and if Sham Umarov is in attendance, when you show up, everybody immediately goes, "Who's that guy?" Because he is a house. I mean, he is just a monster of a man. He is 6. So this, well, who knows what he is now? Coming out of high school, he was 6'7", 325. Okay, that's before he ever stepped foot in Tennessee's strength program, and he's been in that for a while now. So he might be closer to 335, 340, but that Joker's 6'7", and it is all in the shoulders. I mean, he is just a house of a man. So I would not be surprised at all if we saw him early in some capacity, but the honestly, the luxury they have, they've got 10 guys that they are confident in and they can rely on. And they can actually redshirt Sham if they want to, similar to what they did with Mo Clipper this past year. Mo Clipper was a highly rated offensive lineman coming out of high school, and they just didn't really need him this year. So they redshirted him. You know, that guy's 6'5", 305, and they think he's probably one of those backup tackles of the future. So
that's a good thing because offensive line is a developmental position.
Yeah.
Like you want guys who are third, fourth, fifth year guys on the offensive line. You don't want people walking in as true freshmen be like, all right, well, you got to be in there because, they're going to go up against the guys like, Georgia's defensive line and that kind of stuff. And I can't remember how big that dude was for them, 6'7" and 380 or something like that. I mean, that dude was crazy huge.
So I think Glenn Ellerby's got to be excited. I think for the first time in maybe 8-10 years, Tennessee actually has depth at offensive line. I think he would feel very comfortable playing 12, maybe even 13 of them. He's got dudes, and they're huge. When you look at the roster, I mean, Cooper Mays and Parker Ball are the two smallest guys. Parker Ball 6'4", 290. And Cooper Mays is 6'3", 305. Everybody else is significantly bigger than them. So I think this is probably one of those comments Heupel was referring to the other day when he said, well, you were out there, you saw it. We're a lot bigger.
Yeah. And Austin Ireland just commented, Austin, thank you for joining us. We appreciate that. He said, and this is actually what I was thinking when you were talking about the fact that he's 340 pounds, because I was thinking about how Cooper, he has to be the guy that leads the offense to the ball every single play. Like he's got to be there first. And so that's immediately what I thought of too. And Austin thought the same thing. He said, seeing a 340-pound center be able to have the conditioning to get on the ball after every play as quick as we need him to would be impressive and a sight to see.
Yeah.
I totally agree. That's exactly what I was thinking of as well.
But keep in mind, these guys don't waste time. So, they wouldn't have Vice and Lang. I mean, he made the comment. I'll read you the exact quote. Addison Nichols and Vice and Lang, those guys get to continue to grow and step up. There have been really positive things from them in the first 7 days. Excited to go back and watch the tape. We're going to need those two guys to really grow on the back half of spring ball. He flat said they're competing for the backup center job behind Cooper Mays. So, again, these guys don't waste time. They're not into projects. They're like, this is where you're going to be. So let's get it going. And so for Vice and Lang to already be getting comments at 6'4", 340, snapping the ball, unreal.
Well, and to Austin's point there, he's exactly right. I mean, center is a vitally important position in this offense because everything starts there. Even like pace of play. We talk about how fast Tennessee is and getting on the ball. That's because of Cooper Mays. It's because he's the first guy on the ball every single play. and you will see him busting his tail down the field to get to the ball to make sure that they are ready to snap it in 8 seconds or less. So, and all the rest of the offensive line follow his lead. And so it's a vitally important position in this offense, particularly for pace of play, which we know is important in this offensive scheme. So that's a really good point. Any other thoughts about the offensive lineman?
This may be the first time since the Butch Jones era that we have enough offensive linemen that if somebody goes down, we're not going to flinch. And we don't have to all of a sudden wholesale sub everybody and move everybody around to try to fit somebody in there and hide a weakness. Right. They have dudes, and they have a lot of them, and they are huge. And they're excited about them. They think they can all play. Like I said, I think if Glenn Ellerby was on here right now, he would say we're very confident in at least 12 of these guys, maybe 13. And it's been a long time since we've been able to say that on Rocky Top.
Yeah. And even Dane Davis. I mean, we have him talking about him being providing depth and stuff. Dane got significant minutes last year at right tackle.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, like that's somebody you can put in there and trust, So very exciting for the offensive line room. The whole offensive side, we've now finished the offensive side of the ball. And it's kind of hard to say anything negative about any of the spots. Like, I mean, especially if the two transfers this year, John Campbell Jr. and
Andre Carrick.
So I did the pronunciation guide on Tennessee's website, and it said Andre Carrick. So I'm going with I had to do my research there on his name. With Andre and John Campbell, if they can come in and solidify one of those two, spots as well, they're set up for success. But notice, once again, they're not relying on younger guys to fill those spots. They know it's a developmental position. So they went out and got two older guys who've been there, done that in Division I college football, Power 5 college football, to come in and fill those spots. We so appreciate Ginger of Marvelous Mouse Travels for being the sponsor of our position preview series. You can find her at youtube.com/gingermmt or at gingermmt.com. Her travel planning services are completely free to you when you book through her, and that's for real. Like, it doesn't cost you literally anything to use her services.